It is now 12:32. So thanks for joining the Creatives Roundtable. This is a CR60 event, which everybody here knows except for Matt, because he's the only one who hasn't been. This is Matt Helbig from Really Good Emails. I'm your host, Nancy Russo. The Creatives Roundtable is an online community of creative business owners who meet in monthly moderated sessions that help members set measurable and attainable goals, such as creating marketing materials, streamlining working with clients, firing clients, telling clients you love them, and more. Registration for our next term will open May 15th for a July start, but you can be part of our community by joining our private Facebook page where hot conversations happen and discounts to these events are part of the package. I feel like I'm really selling here. The links in today's chat area, which I'll be putting in when I finish, are to our demo moderated sessions, our future events, and info in the CR in general. Upcoming events, we're going to have Paul Jarvis for the Company of One, building custom websites with Webflow with Rand Segal, content marketing with Elise Benham, I always pronounce Elise's name wrong, and a two-part series using webinars for lead generation and sales with Michelle Boucher. We have a couple of others that are just in timing negotiations, so I don't have them published yet. Really Good Emails. I don't know how many of you subscribe to their email, but I'm an avid reader and link explorer from the emails that they send. And if you're not already, hope you will be when this session is over. They aim to be the best showcase of email design and resources on the web. They're providing transparency into product email and customer email cycles that aren't available elsewhere. Their website, reallygoodemails.com, showcases over 3,000 hand-picked collections powered by community submissions and their own obsessive drive to find the best email examples out there. And my favorite are their Friday emails, where they delve a little bit deeper with a little video and more. And with that, I will introduce Matt. And you can take it away.
Fantastic. Yeah, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Let's see if that works. Does that look good?
It does.
Fantastic. Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'm Matt from Really Good Emails. This is a little side project run by 5 guys across the U.S., and Sean is from Canada. But we started this about 4 years ago. I think our collection's almost at 4,000 emails now. But
okay.
We really just get emails from the community or emails that we find and kind of take them out of people's inboxes and put them online for people to have a discussion and talk about them. So one problem that I was facing, in the agency world was, having these really good examples of email to share with clients or creatives within our agency. So we kind of made this site so that it would be available for everyone. And we have the code behind every email that we have on our site. So it's a really valuable resource as well for developers looking to build and replicate some of the emails that we feature. So what Really Good Emails is just a collection of emails I'm showcasing usually around product or marketing design emails. We don't usually have just good copy emails that are just plain text. We like to dive in and look at emails that are designed by companies and sent to usually a B2C or B2B audience. This is the main kind of focus of what we look at when we add an email to our site. Let's see if I can move this thing real quick. So basically these points are what we look at when we add an email to our collection. It's just making sure that visual design is connected to everything. It serves yesterday I actually gave this talk to a room of 300 people here in Atlanta, but the main takeaway too out of these points was that content that serves the customer more than the company is kind of our main focus as well. With that, sorry, I might screen. Let me move this thing. Let me exit this. Got the Zoom is always exciting to use. Okay, yeah. So consistency across branding, website, and app experience. So when you get an email from someone in your inbox, when you click through it, you want it to feel the same or make sense all the way through to a purchase potentially. So if your email looks a lot different and someone's surprised when they hit your website and they don't know what to do, that's a bad experience. And utilizing best-in-class technology, so making sure your email is responsive, trying out new things like CSS animations. There's a lot of things in email that even though they're not supported by every client, there's this thing called progressive enhancement where you can add in pieces that might work on an iPhone, but maybe not on Outlook or something. We look for emails that really try to push the envelope per se when it comes to, doing email really well. It's enjoyable because it surprises and delights. You're excited to get this email. Maybe you look forward to this email. Maybe this is something you send to your friends. I work on a gaming client that I work at my agency, and people screenshot emails and share them online. That's like a big win for us. So it's enjoyable and it surprises or delights a customer. So this is kind of our assumption, is that the email is likely to perform well when we pick one of these emails. So a lot of brands don't share this information with us. So we kind of just make assumptions based on all the emails that we've seen in the past and emails that we click through. And as long as the email makes sense and there's a clear flow for a subscriber to understand how to use an email. And it balances live text and imagery. So we're really against using all image emails. So mocking up an email within a PSD and exporting it out and putting it in a template isn't exactly what we want people to do. So it's really important to have that live text actually in the in the email, and then balance between live text and imagery throughout the send. And it's once again accessible across the devices and screens. So a lot of people use the word responsive when it comes to email or the web, but I think we really think accessibility is broader than that. So thinking about color blindness or text to speech, or even now with voice, seeing how your email will be read by Alexa or something like that is what we think is accessibility. Then lastly, this is kind of a newer one that we've talked about internally, is that verticals shouldn't compare to other verticals. So it's either good or it isn't. So just because you're in the B2B space doesn't mean you can't try out new different trends or designs that are applicable as maybe like a B2C company. So taking inspiration from everywhere and not really looking for very specific examples tied just to your industry as an example, but branching out and looking at what's out there, what brands are doing. So these are like specifics. These are all on our website, but these are kind of what we look at specifically that are more deeper dives when it comes to some of these pieces. So things like copy, you have like your subject line, pre-header, everything else, but making sure your voice and tone, it matches your brand across the email and the web. And then like design, just, the whole gambit of anything that you can include in an email, but just making sure that it makes sense to someone. It's not too long, it's not too excessive. It's just a simple, easy to use visually it makes sense. The hierarchy is there and everything else. And then accessibility. This is one that maybe is a second thought for a lot of people when it comes to that, where adding in this stuff is sometimes very difficult to do, like web fonts, making them work in a browser, using, testing across all the different email clients. But we really think that accessibility is important and that an email can be used by anyone. So. So I think we treat the inbox as a sacred, personal, and safe place. So any email that gets in our collection, something that we'd want to receive, and this relationship you have with your subscribers, is really one-to-one at the end of the day, and you're building a relationship over time. So sending them batch and blasting them or spamming them or whatever term you want to use, I think only sending an email when you have something to say is really important for us too, and making sure, going back to that point of that, this email serves the customer more than the company potentially. So we can look at some examples now of some of the top search brands and really good emails. So these are just brands that we think are doing email really good, and we can just kind of walk through a few of those. See if these transitions work okay.
Great.
So the first one is Airbnb. So these different emails, they do a really good job of keeping the brand language the same across all their different sends. And a lot of these emails are all dynamically built. So each of these pieces are, built from their website, and they pull in a lot of this information. So they lay out these initial templates, and I think a lot of these sends are actually made, right from their website content. They're pulling in that great imagery from their site and bringing out, the simple colors across all the different emails. I think they do a really good job of, again, balancing that live imagery and text within their emails. And I think these emails are very useful to people that are traveling. They get a bunch of tips about where they're going, and they get to see the beautiful photography, and there's good CTAs within this one as well. So we actually reached out to Lucas, and his welcome email that he sent, I think it's on this next slide, is, how do you tell your story when you have 5 seconds to attention? I think like that is becoming the amount of time that you get when in the inbox when someone's looking at your email. So getting someone like with a welcome email right away and getting them into your brand, and that can be a very good first impression for you if you're sending. So this one is the one that the welcome series from Airbnb, and the photo is actually taken by Lucas at a house that he stayed at. It's a really cool piece when designing this email. But it has a clear goal, getting someone back into the product. That's usually the main focus with one of these welcome emails. I mean, it definitely matches their website, includes all their branding. They actually have a design system in place at Airbnb. I think that helps them really think about when they're building their emails, and allows them to build them a lot faster. And I think that bold imagery really captures people's attention right away. And then even like that little search bar that says, where would you like to go? Even though it's something that you can't really do in the email right away, it kind of tells you, this is what we want you to do. This is where we want you to start. Like that's the main focus of our website. That's what we want you to do next. So Apple, I always don't like using Apple because I feel like brands just want to be like them, but everyone has their own brand. So, but I think they do a really good job of having these full colored backgrounds. This dark background or like the red, it keep taking over that entire inbox with that color is really cool. I think across their different products. So if it doesn't matter if it's a new MacBook Pro or their new Spotlight or iTunes, they keep a really good visual language across that as well. I think their layouts make a lot of sense, and they use those big beautiful product imagery really well in their emails to really communicate effectively what they're selling and the products. These are just cool looking emails. So for this one, the iPhone X, using these screenshots in your emails, so really showing, not telling people, if you can include a screenshot or a little GIF of your product playing or something like that. I think that's really beneficial in showing your customers how you want them to use your product, or if you're in an app, if there's an update to your app, showing them in a screenshot of what's been updated, so that when they click to the app, the visual language kind of stays the same across them. Specific icons, I think in a few places in this email, Apple has done specific icons that tie into actions within their emails. So if as a designer, if you can create icons that back up the message that you're trying to say with an email, it's really beneficial outside of maybe just using like bullet points or something like that. And then with like a new product, having footer links at the bottom. So even though this is sort of a secondary message, having these links at the bottom that allows customers to, if they need help, go somewhere, or if they is an FAQ or something on your site, you're pulling in a lot of these footer link icons and content in order to onboard someone onto your product. Great. I mean, it's good. Spotify. I'm sure everyone was excited when they got their 2018 music and review from Spotify. They do a lot of good personalization based on your listening history and bringing a lot of that into their emails. So this one is actually an older example built with movable ink, I believe, pulling in a lot of customer data with their numbers, what they're listening, their top genres, everything like that. It's a really personalized email, and it shows you that the amount of information they're collecting on you, which I guess is maybe a little scary, but I think most customers nowadays are familiar with that. They're used to getting recommendations from someone like Amazon, and pulling in this data or start collecting this data is useful. So at the end of the year, if you'd want to do a year in review email as well, and you don't have as many data points, maybe this is a good start to collecting some of these points or getting preference centers set up so your customers can receive emails like this in the future. But yeah, they do a great job, and it's always fun to look at your year in review and share it online. So they do a really fantastic job just using these simple GIFs. So I think this one isn't very complicated, but I like how it takes over like the entire screen basically. It really has that single teaser CTA getting you back into their product. The main focus is email is pretty short too. It has one goal. I think email can really only do one thing a lot of the times, and you kind of have to understand, okay, what is the one thing we want this person in this email to click? Is it clear what they want to do next? So if you have too many links or too many buttons, you can get kind of lost in the email, and there's too many decisions to make, and they aren't really sure what to do next. And then doing this one column is really smart too, because it allows you to really only have to lay out this maybe once just for mobile. I think mobile audiences are getting over 50%. I think it's still growing too. So I think there is a future where a lot of designers and developers might only be laying out a mobile, and then on desktop it's more, it looks okay, but it's not like as optimized. The main focus is on mobile. Next is Uber. So I think even though the Uber seat is not that exciting, but to me as an email marketer, it's really exciting. The amount of information they can pull in. I mean, they're pulling in your name, the total of your ride, the map, the location of, the picture of the driver, all this information they're pulling it in. It's really impressive to me. And keeping this visual brand again across all their different products. So if they're sending an email to the drivers or Uber Eats or you as a rider, all the emails feel the same, and the voice and tone is really unified across all those different brands that they do. Yeah, and again, these screenshots really help you understand how to use the product. So this quote is just about really not giving subscribers too much information. So I think having just at the right time, giving them the information that they need at that point in time. So not being too extensive and just making clear messages delivered to someone is the way to go with these kind of emails. So this is another year in review email from Uber. As you can see, it's personalized, super personalized. It's really outside of just first name, using copy, voice, supporting imagery to really get your message across. Yeah, it just helps them build out their brand and share a lot of these personalized data fields. And an email like this too gets shared on social a lot. So even though every single newsletter I've seen on MailChimp has like a social share sheet at the bottom that never ever really gets clicked, because you're not really giving them an incentive to share that email with their Twitter followers or whatever. But doing something like this where there are all these unique stats to you, it's a really good piece of content to really share with someone. I think to really ask someone for that social share, I mean, everyone doesn't love your brand either. So, I mean, you're the main advocate for your brand. So giving them some valuable content to share or some reason to share is a lot more useful than just, adding those icons at the bottom. And then great, these awesome gifts. They're very like subtle gifts too. They're not taking away from the whole message. And I think from an accessibility standpoint, that's also beneficial. Because, you don't want a 20-second gift that someone has to sit there and watch just the text come in and, whatever. But this gifts are really subtle and really back up the images and messages that are already in this email. So Everlane is a San Francisco-based startup. I was kind of always surprised that they are one of the most searched brands, but I think they're doing some really great stuff with email as well, just in the retail space. So they really keep it very simple, nothing too crazy. A lot of these emails are actually all images, so that's kind of one of those mark against them, but they do great stuff with their product imagery, really bringing in their content. For this one too, these product shots, if you have them, or if you're creating a custom product shots, like bespoke product shots for emails, we've seen a lot of brands start doing that as well, where you can't really see that stuff on their website, but they're designing these specific images for emails, and I think that really makes it really stand out. And then with the Z pattern too as well, getting someone to go down the email, bringing a subscriber's eye right down to the email, getting them to see all the products. And then the CTA design too, how this is laid out, I think they do a good job of balancing the color and the shape and design. And if it's above the fold, bonus points, but especially on mobile, I think people are going to scroll a good amount as well if the content is relevant to them.
So that entire thing was an image? There's always images for the...
This one, Everlane, for this one specifically, I think this one might have like a solid background color, and then everything else would be an image on this one, I think, too. So This one would just be like sort of laid out in a PSD, and then each of these slices might just be a specific link out to that product. So not best practice. Something on mobile, this might not scale that well with those images stacking correctly. So this is somewhere where if we were going to do like a Feedback Friday on this one or something, we might recommend that maybe cutting this up in a certain way so that it maybe looks a little bit better on mobile and is more accessible with those being live text versus just image text in image.
I just went to pull one from my email inbox, and I'm seeing they are all images. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sorry.
Great. So Envision is you guys might be familiar with this tool, but they do a really good job with experimenting within their emails and not really letting something like a boring trigger email go by them. I think they try to do interesting stuff on all their different sends. So they're just really keeping that design language really simple, using these bold fonts and text colors, keeping it, the amount of colors that they're using in their emails really pared down. Yeah, just doing some interesting stuff, even on this far right-hand side, like a legalese email, not just doing it in plain text, but styling it a bit and including it within one of their templates makes it at least a little bit more engaging to read and maybe a little bit more easy to scan. So we also did an interview with them, and they are saying, we only want to send things that are awesome. So if you're not meeting that standard, don't send it. I think people are fine getting email a lot of the time, and they won't unsubscribe as long as it's providing value to them. I think one of the main reasons why people unsubscribe is that the emails stop being relevant for them, or that there's a new sale every week or something like that. It stops providing value to them at all. So I think you can send as much as you want, but as long as the email is useful and it isn't just a crappy email you want to send out just to get some more clicks or some sales. So they also, I think, have a pretty robust design system as well as InVision. I would kind of assume they would because of the tool that they have. But they have a really clear hierarchy without their email. I think it makes it a lot easier to scan. I think compared to some other email newsletters out there, this one is a lot more visually interesting, and they do a lot of fun stuff with their CTAs. They're not just like learn more, click here. They keep them very actionable by saying something like TED Talks and chill or critical SaaS, fun things like that gets people to click and interested in the actual content rather than just learn more or read more or something like that. And then using that color to break up section, I think, is really beneficial as well. Keeping this email different enough so that it doesn't get too repetitive when you scroll down through it. Yeah, I think they do a fantastic job. Definitely one to look at with a newsletter example. MailChimp, they do some great stuff. You'd assume so because they are an email service provider. They do some really interesting stuff with their newsletters. They have these very long length content heavy emails, but they use images to really break up the amount of text. So I think a lot of brands ask us, how do I have this long email? How do I send it? And I think using some imagery or illustrations to break up the copy and including spacing and using text formatting to really make different sections look different, and it allows people to read them a lot easier. But yeah, they do a fantastic job. And I think they also are one of those brands that when they do send, the content is really valuable. They might send a lot in emails, maybe like once or twice a month, but when you get one, you want to read through the whole thing because it's a really curated email. This is from Fabio, the ex-lead email developer that I've met before a few times. But yeah, just keep that in mind that simplicity and clarity is important. Comprehensive content, it's really comes down to quality. So you can send as much as you want, but the quality is what's important at the end of the day. We're really jamming here at this hotel lobby. So yeah, this one is another just an example of one of their newer refreshed emails with their new branding. It's a slightly different email. But yeah, having something like a play button on a video really engages people to click a lot more. If you can even do like a GIF and play like 1 to 3 seconds of a video, if it makes sense, or it sort of maybe is looping, I think that shows people that they should be able to click on it. And even if you are embedding video with an email, having something like a play button that goes out to like a YouTube link or something is definitely driving those clicks. Keeping everything live text with that longer content heavy email, and then trying to use something like custom or web-safe fonts within an email to make it more accessible for everyone. So web fonts are, if you're familiar with the web, just pulling in web fonts and setting it fallbacks for things for older email clients that are not, supporting those only web-safe fonts. And illustrations too, if you have the resources to build some illustrations to really sum up the message or add some value to the email, I think it's a really smart thing to invest in. Because they make the emails a lot more fun and engaging, and it helps break up the just huge blocks of text within emails. Asana is another designy brand. They do some interesting stuff with collaboration. Just really trying to people, they update their product a good amount. So them talking to teams of people, really showing people the new features that they have within their product. They're communicating to a group of people within, design marketers, developers, and things like that. So they kind of want to personalize these emails to those individual audiences and understand, how they use their product and if someone abandons their product for a while, they do try to send a really good series to get them back in and tell them like, okay, this is what we've been working on. This is how the product's better. So I think Regina over here saying that just thinking about cadence and keeping that in mind. The delivering value is the main takeaway from a lot of these emails and these quotes. Just empowering your customers and having something to say and making sure that the email is useful rather than just pushing your next sale. So this is a good example of someone that had abandoned their product. This is a fun little GIF, saying like, "Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. What's going on?" So, they tell them with this win back message that that their product has been made. Improvements have been made on their product. They have a little clever copy to bring you back in, and that fun animated GIF catches your eye in the inbox. So, this is a pretty simple one, but I think it does the job and solves the problem pretty effectively. Google, I think we're almost done with these examples. They do some really good stuff with product onboarding. So they bring in a lot of personalized data and just showing enough information to get someone, with a new product to really understand what's capable with the product, but not giving them too much at once. Something like this Google Wi-Fi, a really nice touch is pulling in data that they captured, like your Wi-Fi network name or, your speed of your network or something like that. Bringing those little tidbits of information in email, really makes it feel personalized one-to-one and helps people understand rather than just like a blanketed, onboarding email. Yeah, they really show some great examples about how to use their product and having really beneficial, you see at the bottom too, the help center, call, chat, multiple ways for someone to get support if they need it with the new product. So this Epsilon and Google actually made a lot of their onboarding series. So aspirational content, giving them, too many things at once. They really got confused. So sticking with basic things with when someone first signs up to your product, you don't have to give them everything in the kitchen sink. That's what you have an FAQ for, or you can break out that welcome series across multiple sends, or even tell them, this is one of 5 sends that we're going to send you across a couple weeks when you are onboarding to our product. But not giving them everything all at once because it can be overwhelming. So this is again for the Google Wi-Fi, having that dark background, using that white text really makes it pop out in the inbox. This sort of personalized report, really easy to understand, very accessible to read, very glanceable. Just pulling in those personalized points and telling exactly with those icons, what the customer is doing, rather than just having this be like a long text email. And then again with that footer, if someone needs help, give them multiple ways, make it really clear how they can reach you. Don't make them guess on, can I send them a tweet, whatever. So having really clear, friendly copy when someone needs help and giving them options, that they're comfortable with to help them with the product is great. I think this is the last one, Nike. So they have these great product photography shots. People, really love their clothes. So it's just a way for them to connect with their fans and keeping this very simple, but also making sense across all the different products that they offer. So again, with the screenshots, is showing their app a little off, and then doing some just really cool stuff with imagery and their visual language. Yeah, like these emails are fun to look at. So this one is actually an interactive email. This one's kind of an infamous example. If you're in the email marketing space, you might have seen this one before. But when you click on those little dots within the product shot, there'll be like a little pop-up that will display some more information and then have a link out to purchase that product. That's just an easy way to experiment with this new technology in a normal send, and having fallbacks that might still look good on older email clients that don't support that. I think Nike maybe knows too that they have a very large mobile audience, especially on iPhone where a lot of this stuff is supported. So this might be something that they decided that, hey, this is a fun interactive piece. We're going to invest our time and technology into making this and see how it impacts sales. And yeah, and you have these bold images. You might have a product team that you might spend money on to make, take these photo shoots and get really good product shots. You do want to include them in the email. I think you still have to, balance live text, in retail if you can, but spreading them out and, using different sections, not just all one image is great, even if you have bold images. And then this one, again, is kind of one column mobile first. So there's less time laying out desktop and mobile if you can just focus on mobile potentially. And I think it almost does really future-proof your emails because we don't really know like all the new screens that are going to come out. But I think designing for that mobile first audience is kind of the way to go when it comes to a lot of these emails. Yes, this is just good with all the different imagery and links. They're still balancing live text within this email, even though a lot of it is just images. Okay, so now it's your turn. How do you send really good emails? I think before you hit send, I think these are really 3 important questions that you should ask: is does the content serve the customer more than the company? What are my readers hiring my emails to do? Kind of my quote yesterday that at this conference was, the difference between a bad and good email for me really is a good email solves a problem, and people hire emails to do particular things. So if there is like something like the problem is, okay, I need to onboard my users to this new smart home device. How do I do that with a welcome series? Or I have a new sale and, this customer's been loyal. So even then it's kind of solving something for a customer where there's a new product release, they're excited about it, and that they've been a loyal customer. So maybe you'll give them 10% off that particular audience. So that really is serving the customer and, keeping them engaged. And then number 2 is the email accessible across all screens and devices. Does it consider others? A lot of people have lots of different visual impairments, visual problems, like even colorblindness. I'm not colorblind, but a lot of people, like 2 guys on really good emails are, which is kind of funny to think about that we look at emails all day. But yeah, there are a lot of considerations, and taking the time to maybe using something like a litmus or email and acid, which are tools to test how emails will look across all different email clients. But there's also, if you're familiar with the web, some accessibility testing things out there that allows you to make sure that your contrast is looking good. And I think with voice, especially things like Alexa, when you say to Alexa, read my email, even if you include alt text, that doesn't always really support that, like something like that. So I think thinking about that more in the future is going to be a big thing. And would you look forward to getting this email? Would you share it with your friends? Would you print it out and put it on your fridge like me? So how can you really make your email suck less and wow more? I think it's important when you hit send that it is valuable, and delivering value is the main focus with us. I don't think you should be sending something if you have nothing to say. So then again, we just look at these 3 different points, really diving in. Each of these are really an opportunity to test something new. So even if you're doing a subject line test, or maybe your CTA design, you're going to make square versus round buttons one day or something like that. I think a lot of these things are pretty low effort, and then seeing, what works with your audience. And even if you can't get buy-in from your boss to try all these things at once, I think you can focus on maybe a couple of these and make them, goals throughout the year to try out new things. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Yeah, do you guys want to maybe get your videos up so you can ask some questions? And that was really interesting, Matt. I'm going to ask some while we're waiting for other people to get their videos up. So on the visual impairment testing, is there something in something like MailChimp that does that for you, or is that something you have to find on the web somewhere?
I would say that there are, for something like contrast or color blindness, I think there might be some tools that you can just Google on the web, or you can show like some brand colors and making sure that they have enough contrast. So if you know like the hex codes of your brand or something like that, you can say like, okay, is the text have enough high contrast with the background or something. Okay. And then color blindness, I think there are some web Chrome plugins or something like that would allow you, even in MailChimp, to maybe turn that on and see like what your email might look like to someone that might have color blindness.
Anissa, you're nodding your head. Yes, there are. Yep. Okay. Are you unmuting, Anissa, or?
Sorry, I just have a lot of noise in the background.
Okay.
I have a few tools. I'll try to grab them and pop them in the chat.
Great.
Okay, great. What about on today's email that was sent out by you guys, there was something on the grid flexible designs. Is that something that really works in everybody's inboxes?
So I think when we talked about that, I think it is something when it comes to layout. That one, those moment lens emails, I think when we're talking about grid flexible, like having a grid in Photoshop and then maybe placing those images in some other places. But currently, I think the support for something like that, without it all being in images in the inbox, is not really well supported at all. So to do some of those interesting layouts, you might have to play around with how you're going to export images and still include live copy.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Anissa?
So do you have any feedback on CSS implementation inside of emails, and how is that being received in today's market, especially in mobile? I know Adobe is pushing, starting to use that with their stock. They've actually got tutorials that they just published this week.
Oh, nice.
Regarding how to make your own animated GIFs out of their stock in order to implement into email specifically.
Are you talking about like CSS animations or no?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. So WebKit is the only thing that really supports CSS animations right now on like the iPhone specifically. So that is something that I've tried before as well on my actual sends and my agency job about including something like hover effects as a CSS animation, or load-in effects, or something like a pulsing effect. I think those are really great, and they can save you weight when it comes to those email GIFs. So definitely something to try. Just to understand that there's not as well support across all email clients. But the fallback really is that the thing will just be doing nothing. But if you know your audience is maybe over 50% on mobile on an iPhone, then definitely experiment with those CSS animations to add some exciting little pieces to your email.
Anyone else? No?
Well, yeah, definitely subscribe to our email list. I mean, we share tons of links, all the time, and we're actually doing a conference in a couple weeks too in South Carolina called Unspam.
Unspam, yeah.
Yeah, so that one should be another really fun one. Just us kind of talking with a bunch of people in the email geek industry, and seeing what people are up to.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. We really appreciate it, and really appreciate you filling in today as well.
No problem. It happens a lot. It's okay. I'm used to it.
We seem to have, we had, as I said, we had 60 people who RSVP'd, and then we had 27 who confirmed, and it looks like we have maybe 15 people here, which is a pretty bad showing, but we do appreciate your time.
No problem. Anytime.
Thanks very much.
Great. Have a great rest of your Friday.
You too. Bye-bye now.